Have you ever been feeling like your life is rushed all the time and you finish tasks quickly so you can start the next task and finish it quickly so you can start the next one, and so on, so on, so on it goes. And then you have to meet friends, you have to meet family reunions, all the time is you have to do this, you have to do that, blah, 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 blah. You don't have any time for yourself, like actually for yourself, to think about things and do whatever the f you want. Do you ever feel like this? If so, I suggest that you go, escape, take a trip somewhere by yourself. If you escape, just know that you have to come back, okay? Don't abandon your family, please. This is not what I mean. Just try. Who knows?
Life was getting a little heavy lately, and I needed some space to breathe. So I left, and there's no better way to do that than on a motorcycle. I was excited to hit the road alone, something I think we should all do more often. So I packed my bags and headed to Rome, ready to prove to Italians that it's really not the end of the world if you have a cappuccino in the afternoon. We all have many responsibilities, that's true. And sometimes these feel like wearing a dog's choke collar that tightens the more we try to move. Now, I'm not suggesting by any means that we run away from our responsibilities, but every now and then it's good to give ourselves some slack and just breathe. And finding a little space for yourself can be the best antidote. So if you're feeling curious about solo traveling, or maybe you just need some encouragement to create a little adventure, I thought I could share with you the 4 phases of solo traveling. And this is not the ultimate truth, by the way. You might disagree or have something to add. If that's the case, I would love to hear that. Also important, solo travel is often associated with self-discovery, but it really doesn't have to be. Sometimes we just get away to enjoy our own company, as simple as that. There's nothing mystical about it. Although if you spend time with yourself for a while, it's hard not to learn something. So let's begin with the first phase, which is the planning stage. Yeah, it's a pretty boring name, right? Maybe we should call it something more like the call. That works better. This is where the excitement of the open road kicks in. You finally admitted to yourself that you needed a break from the routine. Too many schedules, too many obligations, too many social interactions. So you've decided to take action, and suddenly you are thrilled about the independence and the adventure ahead. For me, personally, it's a time where there is also some nervousness, since we face the unknown. You don't know exactly what's coming or what you'll run into along the way, but that's part of the deal. As it is the planning phase, there must be, of course, some planning. Booking flights, hotels, buying gear you might need. How much planning is needed? I leave that up to you. In my case, I planned all my stops in advance, with the first being Zaragoza, a city that will test whether or not you have mastered your sounds. Zaragoza has been standing for over 2,000 years, right on the banks of the Rio Ebro in Aragon.
It's hot. It's really hot. We're on a heat wave right now in Spain. It started today, so that was a perfect time to start a trip.
Challenges are to be expected, and that's the secret sauce of the journey. But honestly, I didn't face too many of them, except for the heat. The heat was excruciating, and it followed me closer than my own shadow. It sucked the life out of me, and left me like a raisin by the end of the day.
Okay, let's go inside. So I couldn't film inside because you're not allowed, but I got these. So this is supposed to give me good luck in my travels. See you later, Spain. We are now crossing the border to Andorra. Whew.
It was a good choice to stop in Andorra and escape the heat for a day. This tiny country is known for its skiing and low tax rates, and it was interesting to visit a place out of sync with its usual purpose. I'm sure Andorra has many things to offer. In winter, this place would be buzzing with life, but now in August, it's quite silent, with just a few bikers and hikers here and there.
We'll look to the mountains. We don't care if it's only a dream. Nothing is really what it seems anyway.
The peace of off-season reminds me of my own experience. Just as this place steps away from its usual rhythm, so am I. And from a photography point of view, it's always unique to capture this hidden side. A ski resort without snow, no one gliding down its soft slopes. Everything is still, yet everything is still in motion, like seeing the other face of the moon. It's something rare and unexpected.
When you wanna be loved by everyone, you get fooled by anyone so easily. I'm lost. You say it's time.
The Pyrenees had saved me from the summer heat, and that night I slept under a blanket, rolled up like a taco. Spicy, of course. I was so rolled up I decided to sleep in a little longer. The morning was crisp and a bit chilly for a motorcycle ride. That day I would arrive to France. Rumor says they have the best cheese there. Although as a Spaniard, I'm a bit skeptical about that statement, so let's make the king proud. Spain has wonderful cheese, the best, in fact. But let's go back to where we were. France, where I'd be spending the next 3 days with my first stop in the medieval city of Carcassonne.
Oh, look at this road.
The ride was short but fun. Flowing through the lush landscapes of southern France was beautiful, and it made me want to explore every corner.
So there's been a slight issue because check-in is not until 3 p.m. The hotel is closed, so I still have about 50 minutes of waiting and doing nothing. And it's also really, really hot. I can wait, no problem. I'm tired. I can't breathe right now. What's happening?
You're 35, that's what's happening.
See, I had a few tries with that window, but I don't know what it's gonna look like, honestly. I don't know, we'll have to wait. I'm glad our delicious cuisine made it all the way to France.
By this point, we're thrilled to be on the road, but even though we've physically escaped, we're still carrying a lot of mental noise. At this stage, you realize that the boundaries between your vacation and real life are still a bit blurry. It's not so easy to disconnect. In fact, you're still very connected to that digital life, social media, group chats, calls. And instead of enjoying the open road, you catch yourself rushing to destinations. And sometimes you feel a little bit bitter when things don't go as planned.
Oh my god. What the f is happening, dude? What are they doing? I made the worst mistake because I took the wrong turn, but now I'm stuck here. I don't know what the f is happening.
Also, in this state of mental clutter, doubts start to creep in. By now, you've been alone enough time to start listening to yourself. And sometimes we can be a harsh critic, especially if we're still cleaning up the toxic residue of daily life. You might start questioning yourself, your choices. You can feel a bit uneasy, thinking, what am I doing here alone? Shouldn't I be with my friends or with my family? It's just part of the process, and it's about this time where there is a turning point. The realization that the pressure to use my time correctly is part of the toxic mindset you're trying to escape.
So this is my hotel.
The idea behind this trip isn't how productive you are or whether you're spending the time with the right people. It's in the fact that you're giving yourself space. You remind yourself that this is time for reconnecting with you, and that's it.
Beautiful.
Vous arrivez ou vous partez?
Arrivé.
Ah, d'accord.
Oui, oui. I'm pretty tired. It's been a really long day. So tomorrow I have kind of an easy day, and I think maybe I can wake up early before I leave and walk around. It will be quieter, it will be much nicer. I like the morning. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm gonna chill today. No pictures, no nothing.
So yes, that relaxing beach time made me think. I was too focused on meeting a schedule, getting to my destination, and pack beach photos. So I thought, take it easy, man. Leave the camera back in the hotel, get some dinner and rest. Tomorrow will be a good day.
Good morning. As promised, let's take a little walk around this town.
Before we move on, one last thing to add. It's important that we acknowledge this phase of resistance before we can fully commit to something. Actually, this stage shows up in many decisions we make. There's always a part of us that still holds tight to the familiar, especially when the road ahead is uncertain.
We are on the road again, but first I have to get some gas. There's so much traffic right now. It's kind of impossible. I had to go to the pharmacy to get some sunscreen because I refused to put my jacket on today. It's just too humid. There's so much traffic. Of course, it's Monday today, so most people are working. It's summer. Everybody is having fun. Oh my god, the gas station. Oh no. Well, looks like I'm gonna have to wait. That was a nightmare. Thank you. Okay, so I want to take this road all the way to Montaut, which is my next destination. I've been told it's really beautiful because it's just by the coast and it has some really nice views. My only problem is it going to be like this all the way? Because if it's going to be like that, it's gonna take me forever to get there. I say we just try and see what happens.
What was the rush anyway? However, after a while going at turtle speed, it made me realize that while enjoying the ride is fantastic, I still had to get there at some point. Fresh air is wonderful, especially in this humid climate. But if I stopped to take photos at every turn, by the time I arrived, decades would have passed and I'd be just like a lost astronaut returning to Earth. So I decided to speed up the highway for the last half of the run until I finally reached Mentot, my last French stop. And let me tell you, pronouncing Mentot correctly is something that still haunts me to this day. Mentot, Montot, Mentot. So please, my most sincere apology.
We made it to Mentot. Now it's time to check in and go to the beach. First thing I'm gonna try to do is get some water because I lost like 10 kilos in liquids today. If you don't know, Mentot is the last town before Italy. So we are right by the border with Italy. And today is my last day in France. Too bad. Excuse me. Wow, I totally needed this. And I got this too. Okay, now we can go to the beach.
That night I did absolutely nothing. I rested and drank lots of liquids. And staying true to plan, I spent the morning wandering through the old part of town. And what a beautiful place. A city with a very citric glow. Its colorful houses look like a basket full of oranges, pomegranates and lemons. Or maybe a bag of Fantasmicos, that iconic ice cream from our childhood. But it makes sense, since Montaut is known as the City of Lemons, which are quite unique, famous for their sweet taste and aroma. The downside of a trip like this is that sometimes you don't get enough time to really explore. 10 days on the road doesn't give one much flexibility to stay longer in one location, and Mentot was one of those places where I wish I could have stayed longer. As I leave this colorful side of France, I enter the vibrant Italy, looking forward to these days in this country full of character. Going to Italy feels like visiting your cousin. Everything is the same, and it's different at the same time. By this point, I was fully enjoying my trip, relaxed, making the most of every single moment, and felt like I left behind some unnecessary weight. Which brings me to the third phase of solo traveling, which is... you finally take the leap into the journey and are fully committed to the adventure. This is the moment of freedom. It's here that you break through the mental and emotional barriers and start enjoying the journey simply for what it is. There is a sense of ease and joy as you begin to experience everything with more color, and you realize it's not about going somewhere, it's about being somewhere.
Buongiorno. Detrás? Ok. La moto? Finito? Grazie.
Hola. After the trip, as usual, I unpacked and headed out for that much-needed dip in the sea. I was staying in Bocadase, quite a charismatic fisherman's neighborhood with pastel houses and a tiny beach. Very hard to find a spot, and those unforgiving rocks not the most comfortable, but somehow they felt therapeutic on my back after all those hours of riding. It seems like God had a plan after all, but yes, not the best place to lay down to read. And the water? I was hoping for a refreshing swim, but it was more like swimming in a bowl of soup. Genoa was a mess. Not the city itself, the city was wonderful, but the lighting conditions were a nightmare. The clouds rolled in just enough to hide the sun, or maybe it was the sun feeling shy. But being an Italian son, I highly doubt there's anything shy about it.
Always had a way to make it work and find another route. Always had a way to make it work and find another route. Always had a way to make it work and find another route. Always had a way to make it work and find another route.
Then there are Genoa's famous narrow alleys and streets, with the buildings packed so close you feel like you could reach into your neighbor's kitchen and grab an egg or two.
Look.
So the little light that was available didn't stand a chance of breaking through. So after I got lost through these streets, it was time to head to Bocadase and cool off with a refreshing drink. That night, as I was getting ready for bed, I kept thinking about a passage I read at the restaurant earlier. It is said that the first to land on the beach of Bocadase were Spanish navigators. The boats suddenly ran into a strong wind, and it was the small inlet that saved them from a certain death. This is why they decided to settle there, giving life and soul to one of the most beautiful villages in our town. I was excited for the day ahead, and it turned out to be full of curiosities. My next destination was Montepulciano, a small city, or maybe a large town, in the province of Siena, Tuscany. But first I wanted to make a quick stop at a certain iconic site. One that seems to embody the philosophy of better finish a sloppy job than starting over. And honestly, there's something admirable in that. Finish what you started. Even if it's not perfect, you'll get better at it, I guess. Last time I was in the area, I didn't get a chance to stop, but today it felt like the perfect day. Beautiful sight, absolutely worth the visit. Although I'd like to add that wearing motorcycle gear in this blistering heat was like having a wet towel between my thighs. Finally, it was time to enjoy the roads of Tuscany. Twisting and turning through vineyards, olive trees, hills and valleys did not disappoint. It was a lovely ride.
Welcome to Montepulciano. It's good we got here because I'm starting to feel a little tired. The views from here are absolutely stunning. I thought it was gonna be smaller, but it's quite big.
That's what she said!
Wow, 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 wow. You guys can see absolutely anything right now, I know, but man, this was such a good decision. Oof, 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 ooh. Wow. Oh, nice entrance to Montepulciano. Hello. Yeah, so I can't go in. I think I need like a permit. So I'm waiting on the host to see if she can give me a permit. If not, I don't know where I'm going to park because I'm far away and carrying this is gonna be a nightmare. But in the meantime, look at this. Look at this beautiful view. Amazing.
After waiting far too long for parking instructions from my host, I figured it was time to make a decision before my feet started growing roots. So with no news, I parked wherever I could and carried all my luggage across town. It wasn't pretty, let me tell you. At the top of this hill, the heat was quite sticky, and the weight of these bags made me consider that next time I wouldn't pack so many essentials. I guess they weren't that essential. But then I learned something that made me forget these little inconveniences. Twilight was filmed here. Yeah, it's actually one of my favorite movies, so why the long face? But still no news from my host, and getting the key to open my room turned into quite a little challenge. But after a while, longer than I'd like to admit, I realized the key had been on the door of the room all along. Oh, it was open all this time? Oh, you fool. But who cares? Twilight. But can we skip this track? Maybe there's a better choice? True Tuscan dream. It's also a beautiful medieval town at the top of a hill. But sometimes words aren't enough. Just look at this place. And the views? These views were a gift. Something I could take in over and over without getting tired of it. In that moment, I needed nothing and no one, but the journey must continue, and at the end of those large fields, I could feel the end of my trip coming closer. Tomorrow I would arrive to Rome, my final destination. Of course, I'd still have to make my way back to Madrid, but with the last rays of light, I look back on my trip. I didn't want it to end. Somehow Rome felt too close to home now. If I had no limits, I'd keep going, maybe to the very tip of Italy's boot, probably even farther. And this is only a sign that you finally accepted your own company, and there's not a better feeling. It was like a bite of a bitter melon, a complex taste experience, but the perfect flavor for this vacation. That day I decided to leave the camera behind and went to meet a friend who took me out for some limoncello spritz. But with that heat, one limoncello was all it took to knock me out of my reality. It hit me hard, I'm not gonna lie. However, there's nothing better than a good carbonara to get back on your feet, and I slept like a baby. I woke up refreshed, but no matter how rested you feel, nothing really starts until you get your coffee. My ferry to Barcelona wouldn't leave until 8 p.m. So I had the whole day to get lost through this imperial city. The beauty of Rome is like no other. Even beneath a gray sky and under construction, the city still shines. Every corner is visual candy. And of course the usual crowd, big crowds. So in a moment of pride, or maybe stubborn rebellion, I refused to take one shot of the Trevi Fountain. This is as close as you will get to the Trevi Fountain, and that's about as rebellious as I will get. You've seen it plenty of times, you'll be fine. The Colosseum, however, that's a different story. We all have that curiosity for a place built for civilized entertainment. Good old Roman fun. So no missing out on this one. Get some shelter from the heat. It's not working.
It was so hot today. Definitely one of the hottest days in my life. I drank so much water and it was like nothing. I spent all my savings on water today. Frizzante, of course. I feel my pH is all f***ed up now. Goodbye, Rome. It was good to be here.
I know we'll meet again. Just don't wait for me in the middle of August.
And now it's time to go to Civitavecchia. I'm going to get the ferry back to Spain. And guess what? I'm thirsty. Okay, I am here. Oh, mira, moto this way. I have no idea where I'm going. Yo te sigo. Is it this way?
Now that I was on the ferry back to Spain, I think it's a good time to talk about the last phase of solo traveling, which is... This is the part of the journey where we see things from a distance. We reflect on the meaning of the trip. We've gone through different phases that in one way or another have shaped us. There's a sense of closure. And yes, it's sweet and it's sour. Maybe you didn't get life-changing answers, but this trip gave you something very valuable. A break from the routine, freedom and peace. Traveling solo is not about finding deep answers, it's about respecting your own space, and that alone is enough. You find comfort in the little things, realizing you don't need much, and this in itself might be the lesson.
I have barely any space to even move. No bathroom. No nothing.
As this chapter closes, you prepare to re-enter your normal life, because you always have to come back. Maybe you're happy with how things are going, or maybe there are changes you want to make. Perhaps you return with more questions than before. But one thing is clear, you come back refreshed and comfortable in your own company, a new self. Because if solo travel teaches you anything, it's that deeper connection one makes with himself. See you later, Eggface.